feeling like the spark isn't quite what it used to be. Maybe you've noticed things aren't as reliable, as strong, or perhaps not happening at all when you'd hoped. It's a frustrating reality that many men face as they get a little older. You might wonder if it's just an unavoidable part of aging, something you have to accept. But what if I told you that for many men? A big part of this challenge isn't just about the years passing, but about what you're putting into your body. It might sound surprising, even a little too simple. But the foods we eat, especially after 60, can have a profound impact on our circulation, our hormones, and ultimately, our ability to perform. It's a secret that often gets overlooked in the conversation about aging and intimacy. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on 5 specific foods that might be actively working against you, sabotaging your erections and leaving you feeling disheartened. Knowing what they are and why they're harmful is the first crucial step to taking back control and enjoying a fulfilling intimate life. It's not about cutting out everything you love forever, but about making informed choices that support your body and your vitality. So, let's get right into it. Watch to the end for something that will truly surprise you about this topic. Now, let's start with the first major offender, and this one might be lurking in your kitchen right now, tempting you with convenience and familiar comfort. We're talking about processed meats. Think about those sausages, bacon, deli slices, hot dogs, the kinds of things that are often quick to prepare or easy to grab for a sandwich. While they might seem like a straightforward protein source, especially when you're looking for something fast, they come packed with things that are definitely not friends to healthy circulation or hormonal balance, both of which are absolutely critical for maintaining good erectile function as you age. The primary culprits here are the high levels of saturated fats, sodium, and nitrates or nitrites. Let's break that down a little in a way that makes sense. Imagine your arteries, the pathways that carry blood throughout your body, including the blood needed for an erection. Think of them like garden hoses. When you're younger, those hoses are probably pretty flexible and clear. But over time, especially with a diet heavy in saturated fats, those hoses can start to get clogged up on the inside. Saturated fats contribute to plaque buildup in your arteries, a condition called atherosclerosis. This narrows the pathways, making it much harder for blood to flow freely and strongly. And for an erection, strong, unimpeded blood flow is non-negotiable. If the blood can't get there effectively, things simply won't work the way they should. It's like trying to water your garden with a clogged hose. The pressure just isn't there. Then there's the sodium. Processed meats are notoriously high in salt. We all know too much salt isn't great for blood pressure. Right. High blood pressure puts extra strain on your arteries, stiffening them over time. Stiff, narrow arteries are terrible for circulation everywhere, including the pelvic region. So, not only are these meats potentially clogging your pipes with fat, but they're also increasing the pressure inside them with salt. A double whammy for blood flow. And those nitrates and nitrites. These are chemicals used to preserve processed meats and give them that characteristic color and flavor. While they might seem harmless, studies suggest they can damage blood vessels and interfere with the body's ability to produce nitric oxide, a molecule that's essential for relaxing the smooth muscles in the penis, which is a crucial step in achieving an erection. Think of nitric oxide as the signal that tells your blood vessels in that area to open wide and let the blood rush in. If nitrates are interfering with that signal or damaging the vessels themselves, that crucial open wide message isn't getting through effectively. So, what does this mean in practical terms? Regularly eating processed meats like bacon for breakfast, a deli sandwich for lunch, or hot dogs at a barbecue is like constantly putting small obstacles in the path of your body's natural ability to get and keep an erection. It's not usually one hot dog that does it, but the cumulative effect over time, especially when these foods are a regular part of your diet. The action step here is straightforward but requires conscious effort to significantly reduce or eliminate processed meats from your diet. It might feel like giving up something convenient or a familiar comfort food. But the potential benefits for your intimate health, not to mention your overall cardiovascular health, are immense. Instead of bacon, try scrambled eggs with vegetables. Swap the deli slices for sliced grilled chicken or turkey breast you've cooked yourself. Or even better, healthy fats like avocado or hummus on your sandwich. Look for alternative protein sources that are lean and unprocessed. This change alone can start to improve your blood vessel health and make it easier for your body to achieve the necessary blood flow. It's about choosing options that nourish your arteries and support healthy circulation, rather than constantly challenging it. Making this swap isn't just about avoiding something bad. It's about choosing something good that actively supports your body's function. It's a positive step towards reclaiming that vitality you might feel has been slipping away. Remember, it's not about perfection overnight, but conscious, consistent choices that add up over time. Thinking about what's in your food, understanding its impact, and making smarter swaps is incredibly empowering. And processed meats are just the first piece of the puzzle. There are others that might surprise you even more, quietly working against your body's natural abilities. Now that we've dug into the problems with processed meats and how they gum up the works for blood flow, let's turn our attention to something that often shows up alongside them. Something that's incredibly prevalent in the modern diet and a major saboteur of not just erections, but overall health: excessive added sugar and refined carbohydrates. This isn't just about the obvious culprits like soda, candy, and cakes, though they are certainly major players. We're also talking about the hidden sugars in sauces, yogurts, breakfast cereals, white bread, white pasta, white rice, and countless other packaged foods. When you consume large amounts of sugar and refined carbs, your body quickly breaks them down into glucose, leading to a rapid spike in blood sugar. To deal with this spike, your pancreas releases insulin. Over time, if this happens frequently, your body can become less responsive to insulin, a condition known as insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is a stepping stone to type 2 diabetes, and diabetes is a major risk factor for erectile dysfunction. Here's why high blood sugar levels damage blood vessels and nerves throughout the body. Think back to our garden hose analogy. High sugar in the bloodstream is like sending a corrosive liquid through the hoses. It damages the lining over time. This damage makes arteries less flexible and can impair the function of the delicate nerves needed for the physical response involved in achieving an erection. Damaged blood vessels mean compromised blood flow, and damaged nerves mean the signals aren't getting through properly. It's a double hit that significantly hinders your body's natural process. Furthermore, diets high in sugar and refined carbs contribute to inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation isn't good for anything, and it's particularly bad for blood vessel health. It contributes to the plaque buildup we talked about earlier, further narrowing those crucial pathways. Plus, excess sugar intake can mess with hormone levels, including testosterone, which plays a role in libido and sexual function. When your blood sugar is constantly fluctuating wildly, it puts stress on your system and can disrupt the delicate hormonal balance needed for everything to function smoothly. It's like constantly revving your car engine unnecessarily. It wears down the parts over time. Consider the typical Western diet: sugary cereal or pastries for breakfast, a sandwich on white bread with sugary condiments for lunch, maybe a sugary snack in the afternoon, and dinner with white rice or pasta, perhaps followed by a sugary dessert. This constant influx of easily digestible carbs and sugars keeps blood sugar levels on a roller coaster, contributing to insulin resistance, inflammation, and blood vessel damage over the years. It's the cumulative effect that really matters. Many men might not realize that their daily soda, their habit of adding sugar to everything, or their reliance on white, processed grains is directly contributing to difficulties in the bedroom. They might blame age alone, when diet is playing a significant, perhaps even primary, role. So, what can you do about this? The key is to drastically reduce your intake of added sugars and swap refined carbohydrates for complex ones. This means choosing whole grain bread, pasta, and brown rice instead of white. It means prioritizing fruits, vegetables, legumes, and nuts, which provide sustained energy and fiber without the rapid sugar spike. Read food labels carefully. Sugar is often hidden under many different names: corn syrup, fructose, dextrose, etc. Cut back on sugary drinks entirely. Water, unsweetened tea, or coffee are much better choices. Instead of reaching for a cookie or candy when you want something sweet, have a piece of fruit. Instead of white rice with dinner, try quinoa or extra vegetables. These swaps might seem small individually, but collectively, they can make a massive difference in stabilizing your blood sugar, reducing inflammation, protecting your blood vessels and nerves, and supporting healthy hormone levels. It helps your body regain its sensitivity to insulin and protects those vital pathways. It's about fueling your body with things that provide steady energy and nutrients, not quick bursts that cause chaos. This isn't about going on an extreme diet. It's about adopting a sustainable way of eating that supports long-term health and function. It's about choosing foods that build you up, rather than breaking you down bit by bit. Making these changes requires discipline and maybe a little learning about what's in your food, but the payoff, in terms of energy, overall health, and yes, improved erectile function, is incredibly rewarding. Moving away from the heavy reliance on sugar and refined carbs is one of the most powerful steps you can take towards better health at any age. But it becomes especially critical after 60 when the body is less resilient to these insults. It's a direct investment in your vitality and intimate life. Now that we've covered processed meats and the sugar roller coaster, there are still a few more surprising culprits hiding in plain sight. Continuing on our journey of uncovering the foods that might be silently undermining your intimate health after 60, let's talk about something that many people consider a simple, comforting staple: conventional dairy products, particularly full-fat versions. Now, dairy itself isn't inherently evil, and for some, it provides important nutrients. However, conventional dairy can present a couple of challenges for men's health and erectile function. Firstly, like processed meats, many dairy products, especially things like full-fat cheese, butter, and whole milk, are high in saturated fat. We've already discussed how saturated fat contributes to atherosclerosis and restricts blood flow. Piling saturated fat from dairy on top of saturated fat from other sources just compounds the problem, further narrowing those vital arteries needed for erections. Think about adding more gunk to those garden hoses we talked about. The more saturated fat you consume from various sources, the harder it is for sufficient blood flow to reach the penis. Beyond the saturated fat, conventional dairy products, especially in some regions, can contain synthetic hormones given to cows to increase milk production. While the impact of these hormones on humans is a subject of ongoing research and debate, some studies suggest that consuming dairy with these hormones might potentially interfere with your own hormonal balance, including testosterone levels. As men age, testosterone naturally declines, and while dairy hormones might not be the primary cause of low T, adding external hormonal influences to the mix is generally not beneficial when you're trying to maintain optimal function. Furthermore, dairy can be inflammatory for some people. Chronic inflammation, as we discussed, damages blood vessels and contributes to overall poor health, including compromised circulation. For someone already dealing with age-related changes in blood vessels, adding a food that triggers inflammation regularly just makes the situation worse. So, having cheese every day, using lots of butter, or drinking whole milk frequently might seem harmless, but it's contributing to the same issues we've already highlighted: restricted blood flow due to saturated fat and inflammation, with a potential hormonal component as well. What's the actionable step here? Consider reducing your intake of full-fat conventional dairy. You don't necessarily have to eliminate dairy entirely, but be mindful of the types and amounts. Switching to lower-fat or non-fat versions can help reduce saturated fat intake, though you still need to be aware of added sugars in some low-fat options. Exploring dairy alternatives like almond milk, soy milk in moderation and preferably organic, non-GMO, oat milk, or coconut milk can be a good strategy, especially if you find dairy causes inflammation or digestive issues. When choosing cheese, opt for smaller portions and maybe less frequently, viewing it more as a treat than a daily staple. If you are concerned about hormones, look for organic or hormone-free dairy options. Although these still contain saturated fat, the goal is to lessen the burden on your cardiovascular system and avoid potential hormonal disruptions and inflammatory responses. Making conscious choices about dairy, like limiting cheese consumption or switching to plant-based milks, is another piece of the puzzle in creating a diet that supports healthy blood flow and hormonal balance. Two cornerstones of good erectile function after 60. It's about finding swaps that work for you and your preferences, but prioritizing options that don't actively harm your arteries or disrupt your body's natural state. Let's move on to the fourth food group that can be particularly detrimental: excessive fried foods. We're talking about French fries, fried chicken, donuts, deep-fried snacks, anything that's been submerged and cooked in hot oil, especially if that oil is vegetable oil that's been reused multiple times, which is common in restaurants and fast food. Fried foods combine several of the issues we've already discussed and add a few more. Firstly, they are incredibly high in unhealthy fats, often saturated fats if cooked in certain oils, or if the ingredients themselves are fatty like fried chicken skin, but also trans fats if hydrogenated oils are used, or if the oil is heated repeatedly to high temperatures. Trans fats are even worse for your arteries than saturated fats, significantly increasing bad cholesterol and decreasing good cholesterol, leading to faster and more severe plaque buildup. Remember the clogged hoses. Trans fats are like sending concrete through them. This severely impairs blood flow over time. Secondly, fried foods are often coated in refined flour, refined carbs, and sometimes sugary batters, adding to the blood sugar spike and inflammation issues we discussed earlier. So you're getting a triple whammy: bad fats clogging arteries, refined carbs spiking sugar. And the frying process itself often creates compounds that increase inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. Oxidative stress is like rust for your cells and blood vessels, damaging them and making them less functional. Frying foods at high temperatures also increases the formation of advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which are compounds that contribute to inflammation, oxidative stress, and damage to blood vessels and nerves. These AGEs are particularly problematic for diabetic individuals, but they are harmful to everyone's vascular health as they age. So, a diet heavy in fried foods is essentially a fast track to damaged arteries, impaired circulation, and an increased risk of erectile dysfunction. The occasional piece of fried fish might not be a disaster, but making fried foods a regular part of your diet, daily fries with lunch, frequent fried chicken dinners, or donuts every morning, is actively working against your body's ability to maintain healthy blood flow. The action step here is clear: drastically limit or eliminate fried foods from your diet. This is one of the single most impactful changes you can make for your cardiovascular health and, by extension, your erectile function. Instead of frying, try baking, grilling, roasting, or air frying. These methods use significantly less oil, preserve more nutrients, and don't create the same harmful compounds. Swap French fries for baked sweet potato fries or a side salad. Choose grilled chicken instead of fried. Opt for baked goods that use whole grains and less sugar. Or enjoy fresh fruit for dessert instead of donuts. Making these changes means choosing cooking methods that support your health goals rather than hinder them. It means saying no to the quick fix of fried convenience and saying yes to preparing food in ways that are gentle on your arteries and supportive of healthy circulation. It requires a shift in mindset and habits, perhaps more cooking at home. But the benefits in terms of energy levels, weight management, and intimate health are well worth the effort. Avoiding excessive fried foods is a cornerstone of a heart-healthy diet, And what's good for your heart is undeniably good for your erections after 60. It's about choosing vitality over convenience. Now, we arrive at the fifth food category. And this one might be a bit more surprising to some, as it's often seen as a healthy option. But moderation and context are key. We're talking about excessive amounts of soy products, particularly processed or isolated soy protein often found in protein bars, meat substitutes, and some processed foods, while moderate consumption of traditional fermented soy like tempeh, miso, or natto, or even whole foods like edamame, can be part of a healthy diet for many. Problems can arise with the high levels of isoflavones found in concentrated soy products. Isoflavones are compounds that can mimic estrogen in the body. For men, maintaining a healthy balance between testosterone and estrogen is crucial for overall health, including sexual function and libido. While small amounts of plant estrogens from various sources aren't typically an issue, consuming large amounts of concentrated soy isoflavones regularly might potentially disrupt this delicate hormonal balance, potentially leading to lower testosterone levels or an unfavorable testosterone to estrogen ratio. Now, the research on soy's impact on male hormones is complex and sometimes contradictory, with many factors at play. However, some studies have raised concerns about high levels of soy isoflavone intake potentially impacting testosterone. The context here is important. It's less about having a cup of soy milk occasionally or eating edamame, and more about relying heavily on soy protein isolates in powders, bars, and processed meat alternatives as a primary protein source, day after day. If you're consuming several soy-based protein shakes a day, or eating soy-based meat substitutes frequently at every meal, you could be exposing yourself to very high levels of these estrogen-mimicking compounds. While some men might not be affected, others could be more sensitive. And given the importance of hormonal balance for erectile function, it's a potential factor to consider, especially after 60 when hormonal shifts are already occurring. Furthermore, some processed soy products can also be high in sodium and additives, bringing us back to the issues we discussed with processed meats. So, what's the practical takeaway regarding soy? The actionable step is to be mindful of your total soy intake, especially from highly processed sources. Enjoy traditional soy foods like tempeh or edamame in moderation as part of a varied diet. If you use protein powders, consider diversifying and incorporating other sources like whey if dairy isn't an issue for you, pea protein, or rice protein. If you rely heavily on soy-based meat substitutes, try incorporating other plant-based protein sources like beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds. Or choosing alternatives based on things like pea protein or vital wheat gluten if not sensitive. The key is variety and avoiding excessive reliance on one single source, especially a source like concentrated soy isolates that could potentially interfere with hormone levels in some individuals. It's about finding balance and ensuring your diet supports, rather than potentially disrupts, your body's natural hormonal environment. It's less about fear-mongering and more about making informed choices to protect your hormonal health, which is intertwined with your sexual health as you age. This brings us to the crucial overall picture. So, we've looked at how certain processed items, sugary drinks, refined carbohydrates, excessive unhealthy fats from fried foods, and some dairy, and even potentially excessive processed soy can put the brakes on healthy blood flow and hormonal balance, both of which are absolutely essential for getting and maintaining erections after 60. It might seem like a lot to take in, but the good news is that these are all things you have control over. You have the power to choose what goes on your plate, and those choices can make a tremendous difference. We've talked about ditching the processed meats in favor of lean, unprocessed proteins, swapping out sugary and refined carbs for whole grains and fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, being mindful of high-fat dairy and fried foods by opting for healthier cooking methods and alternatives, and being aware of excessive, concentrated soy products by focusing on variety in your protein sources. Remember, small changes consistently applied can lead to significant improvements. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. But picking 1 or 2 areas to focus on first can be a great starting point. Maybe you decide to eliminate soda and other sugary drinks this week. Next week, you might tackle processed meats. The week after, focus on switching from white bread to whole grain. Each step, no matter how small it feels, is a step towards better health, better circulation, and potentially a better intimate life. It's about empowering yourself by making choices that nourish your body and support its natural functions, rather than hinder them. It's about reclaiming your vitality and not just accepting that things have to decline with age. Your diet is one of the most powerful tools you have in your arsenal for maintaining health, energy, and sexual function as you get older. Don't get discouraged if you slip up sometimes. We're all human. The important thing is to get back on track with your next meal. Focus on progress, not perfection. Think about how you want to feel, the energy you want to have, and the quality of life you want to enjoy. Making these dietary adjustments is an investment in all of that. It's about feeling better in your own skin, having more energy to do the things you love, and yes, potentially rekindling aspects of your intimate life that you thought might be gone forever. Your body is remarkably resilient and can heal and improve when given the right support. Giving it nutrient-dense foods and removing the obstacles is a powerful way to kickstart that process. It takes effort, planning, and perhaps trying new recipes. But the rewards are immeasurable. Imagine having more confidence, more energy, and feeling more connected to your partner. These dietary changes aren't just about physical function. They can ripple outwards and positively impact your emotional well-being and your relationships. It's about living your best life at every age, and that includes maintaining the parts of life that bring you joy and connection. So, I encourage you to look at your own diet honestly. Are any of these 5 foods making regular appearances? What's one small swap you can commit to making this week? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you noticed a difference from changing your diet? Your experience could help someone else. And if you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel and lets me know what kind of content you find valuable. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos that can help you live a healthier, happier, more vibrant life after 60. Thank you for watching. And remember, you have the power to make positive changes today. Live your best life at every age.